Hello everyone and welcome back. So if you happen to have missed the last 10 minutes, the last video, where Lee and I were doing a bunch of tweaking and Lee was trying to find a place where he could actually show the water and a beach, if you got tired of watching the tweaking and you moved on to this video, you may want to go back and watch the last 5 to 10 minutes because there was a change to code, a very small change, a discussion why that change needed to be there. And then we also moved over to using Lee's World data map as well. So you just might want to watch those things so you did not completely miss out. And if you're following along with everything that Lee's typed and you're getting a different result now, I just don't want you to have missed where a code change occurred. So with that, Lee, in this video we're going to start working with this new config.ini file, right?
Right. We need to make a folder and then the ini file that we're going to use as the source of information for the config class, or basically the configuration system that we're going to be using in our R&D test.
Right, and the reason you're putting this together is just to keep us from having to go back inside code and mess with magic numbers that are kind of all over the place, because really only you know where they're at right now since you've put this together. Just, get magic numbers out.
Yeah, I got tired of hearing about magic numbers,
yes.
So
Sorry
we're
about
getting
that.
rid of magic numbers.
And also so that we don't have to rebuild every time we want to just do, a series of tweaks with those numbers.
Right. Once you start testing in standalone, this makes it a lot easier because then you can build out your standalone, go into your ini file, make a change, and rerun the program, and everything's there without having to build the project out a second time.
Okay.
So let's go ahead and start off by bringing up Explorer. And I believe you've already got us set up in our project.
No. Yep.
So if you look right now, our project is called Terrain 3. This is the top level of your project. Here's the asset folder. So if you messed with it before and you know where this is, we need to be at the same level of our assets folder. And what we're going to do here, I'll just do it this way. We're going to create a new folder. I'm going to call it config. And then inside of this folder, I'm going to create a new file. And I know you got a text file here somewhere. And I'm going to name this config.ini. Yes, I do want to change the extension. I know what I'm doing. Trust me. And I'm just going to drag this into Visual Studio.
Okay.
That way I can make changes to it. Now, the way we're going to do this is set it up just like most ini files, where we've got brackets that have headers. And this particular setup will allow us to use pound for our comments. So if you want to add any comments, you can do it with the pound instead of a line. And then for our data value pairs, we're going to have some sort of key, an equal sign, and then a value. Now, our value can be anything. It's going to be handled as a string, and you'll be casting it to whatever you need it to be. So if you need a float, we'll cast that inside of the code. If you need an int, we'll actually do float.parse or int.parse. If we need a string, I'm going to set it up so it will recognize strings inside of quotes or outside of a quote. So you could do this is a string, or you could just get rid of the quotes, and it will respect either type of formatting. So let's go ahead and start populating our ini with some key value pairs. Now, I want to have some world settings. And come down a little bit more. I'm going to have some world generation settings. Now these are going to be ignored by our config class when it's getting read in. This is just a visual cue for whoever's in your ini file making changes, along with comments if you want to add those. and then we'll have some mini-map settings. All right, so under world settings, I want to have world size. That's going to equal our 80,000 that we're playing with right now. Actually, get rid of no spaces. And then we can have our map size. Now, in one of the previous videos, I said that I'm going to force our map size to be a square size. This is how I'm enforcing that. So when you type in map size, it's assuming that whatever map you're sending in size-wise is going to be the same in width as height. So we're only going to take the one value. Then we're going to have our max height of our world. Set that to be 1024. We're going to have our patch row count. This is going to be the number of patches that are in a row, not the half row count that we've been using. This will be the overall number. And for now, I think we're using on, I think yours we're using 9. I'm going to decrease it to 5 for now.
Okay.
But I'm going to put a comment here because I want to make sure that our patch row count is always an odd number. And there's no real way to force this because this ini file is going to be dynamic. You can type in anything you want in here. It's just looking for the key and values and returning those.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's something that you want to make sure that whoever's changing values are aware of, you should put a comment in there. So just something like make sure to use an odd number for patch count row or patch row count. So anything like that, you can go ahead and put a comment in to denote it. Now, the next one is going to be patch vertex count. And I'm going to set this to be 49. Again, this is one that requires an odd number. So I'm going to duplicate my comment. And the jets are flying over still.
Yeah, lots of F-18 action today. That's what happens when we record during the day. You've got the regular hustle and bustle going on outside of the city, you know.
Well, the good thing is they're not flying the F-14s anymore.
Yeah.
That's what used to really shake the house.
Yeah.
So, but those were my favorite. So patch vertex spacing, we're using 2. And then our patch update delay. And I'm currently using 0.2 for that. Need the equal sign. So now for our world generation settings, we need our world texture. So our world data texture. And that equals world data. Now, like I said, we can use numbers, we can use integers, we can use floats down here. We don't need to put the 0.5 in here. Matter of fact, don't put it in there. Just use 0.2. That works fine. Because if you put the 0.5, the float parse might have a fit with it. But we can also designate file names for our textures.
Putting the 0.5 in there? What do you mean?
Or sorry, the point or like 0.2f.
Oh, talking about putting the F designator. Okay.
Yeah. Did I say 5?
Yeah.
Yeah, my brain's
kept
fried.
saying 0.5 and I didn't understand what.
Yeah, I meant like a point number and the F.
Okay.
Like a regular float that you would designate inside of code. So this isn't code. So we don't need the 0.5. All right. After that, we're going.
You just said it again.
The F.
You don't need the 0.5. Yeah, you don't need the F.
My brain's stuck in one speed. All right, it's all the jets. So we're going to also track smooth iterations. So smooth iterations equals 5. Our smoothing amount, I also mentioned a long time ago, we're going to be able to change this at some point instead of having it hard-coded. So we've got a smoothing amount. This is going to be the amount that we're smoothing per iteration.
Okay.
We're going to have our low frequency noise scale. And this is equal to 0.1. Duplicate this because we've got our mid frequency, our high frequency, and our very high frequency scales. Come on, there we go. Need to change the values. Mid frequency is 0.2, high frequency is 0.5, and very high frequency is 2.
Mm-hmm.
Waiting for the leg to get caught up. And we need our blend ratios. Now we're using 4 of those. So we got blend ratio 1, and that equals 0.8. 2, 3, 4, and blend ratio 2 is 0.75, 0.65 for 3, and 0.75 for 4. Now these numbers correspond with the numbers that we had used here.
Mm-hmm.
So here's our ratios, our 0.8, 0.75, 0.65, 0.75, and our scales are the ones that we've been using up here.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're still going to procedurally generate this one, but instead of using hard-coded numbers, we're going to use the values that we're saving here.
Okay.
So when we change those, they will automatically propagate into the code when we do our build. So let's go ahead and put another space down there. Now we've got our mini map settings. Now there's a couple here. We've got our mini map size, and that's equal to 256. Got our mini map padding. This is equal to 5. We've got our avatar size. This is equal to 8. Our mini map texture, and I believe that's called mini map. And we've got our avatar texture, and I called this icon just to keep people guessing. So, but these are the values that we're currently using in our demo. Now, the way that this is set up is this particular ini file for this R&D project has very specific key value combinations that we're using. But the way we're writing this system is this doesn't matter. The config class that we're going to create in the next video is just going to read this information in, set up a dictionary, save the information in that dictionary, and give us access to look up any of this information. So this one system can be used in any R&D project that you wanted to do. So you could take the same class, put it in any other project, change up your key values, and then just reference them using the same techniques that we'll do here.
Exactly.
So,
now you said that we'll be coding in the next video. We're actually just going to do some skeletoning of the.
This is true. We're just
Okay.
going to put in the initial skeleton part. It is still coding. I mean,
All right. Yeah, I guess.
but it's just coding without any functionality.
Right. No implementation.
Yes. So,
Okay.
But
So
I'm
anything
go
else?
ahead and save this.
All right. Anything else that you wanted to talk about in this video?
Not in this one. It's like on most of the fun stuff's going to start in the next video.
Okay, awesome. Well, with that then, ladies and gentlemen, that will wrap up this video, and we will see you in the next. Thanks a lot.